I am not a popular person. Which is unfortunate because if you ask any of my close friends or family, they'd probably tell you that I'm kind, funny, generous, intelligent, and actually pretty sociable. And yet, despite all of these glowing reviews, I've spent the majority of my adult life feeling vaguely disliked. So today, I'd like to discuss the one personality trait that apparently cancels out all of the others. The single quality that negates every positive thing about me. I'm quiet. That's it. That's the whole crime. No workplace sabotage, no secret vendettas. I'm just committing the unforgivable social sin of not speaking every 30 seconds.
Right. All right, Charlie, what's that?
Now, this topic has been on my mind for a while, but it really solidified a few weeks ago when I arrived at work and I realized that none of my coworkers liked me. And I don't mean like it slowly happened over time. I mean instantly. You know that feeling when someone walks into the room and the energy and the vibe just instantly changes?
My God, there's nothing that can stop us.
Hey, party people! I'm ready to get 86th!
Like a classroom full of kids goofing around and then the teacher walks in with a pop quiz. Every time I walked into the building, the energy changed. My coworkers stopped laughing, conversations ended mid-sentence. Some of my coworkers might half-heartedly ask me how I was doing, and the other ones would just avoid eye contact, avoid talking to me, whatever. And I'll be honest, this made me incredibly depressed for a while. I just couldn't figure out what I had done wrong. I'm a hard worker, I help when it's needed, I'm always on time, I've never missed a shift, I'm polite, I'm friendly. On Valentine's Day, I even brought every single one of my coworkers a little Valentine because I was genuinely happy to finally have a job that I liked, and I was still relatively new and I just wanted my coworkers to know I appreciate the opportunity, I'm glad I'm here. And just to set the scene, not one person said thank you, which I mean, thank yous aren't always necessary, but like even acknowledge the fact that I like went out of my way to get everyone a little something. It wasn't crazy, it was just like a little bit of chocolate for everyone, but I mean, really? Nothing? And then it really settled in when I discovered several of them just threw away the Valentines. Yeah, so I was not feeling very good for a couple of weeks there. So for weeks, I racked my brain trying to figure out what I had done. Had I insulted someone? Was I accidentally rude? Did I unknowingly start workplace drama? And eventually I did what any emotionally stable person would do, and I Googled it. Originally, I was just trying to figure out how to stop caring about what people think about me, but you know, I also wanted to know if there was anything that I could improve. Maybe there was some sort of like subconscious thing that I was doing that was irritating everybody and I just had no idea. I don't know. I don't want to completely change myself and I didn't want to become a completely different person just to please those around me, but it would be nice to go to work without crying beforehand. I need my tea. And the answer to my problem turned out to be so simple it's almost stupid. I don't think I did anything wrong. I'm not secretly mean and I'm not an asshole. I'm just quiet. That's it. In fact, I've already improved my social standing at work. The solution was incredibly straightforward. All I had to do was talk about stuff I don't care about. Seriously. Now, I occasionally make small observations about the weather.
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
And ask people vague questions about their weekend and comment on meaningless topics. And just like that, one of my coworkers has already asked to hang out with me outside of work. So apparently the key to social acceptance is just speaking periodically. Which brings us to the real question. Why does society seem to dislike quiet people so much? Good morning, hi, I'm Sienna. Welcome to my channel where I talk about weird things that bother me just because I can. Alright, let's get into it. Now, before I go any further, I would like to clarify something just because, yeah, the internet loves to mix things up and I'm not a professional, I'm not a subject in the matter, I'm just interested in what I found and what I happened to find in a couple of quick Google searches, so take that as you will. Being quiet doesn't necessarily mean that someone is introverted, and being talkative doesn't automatically make someone an extrovert. Psychologically speaking, Introversion and extroversion mostly refer to how people recharge their energy. Extroverts tend to gain energy from social interaction. Introverts tend to lose energy from social interaction and recharge by being alone. So in other words, some of us are just quiet not because we hate people, but because after 3 hours of conversation, our brain feels like a battery at 2%. People love to say, don't judge a book by its cover. And unfortunately for quiet people, the advice is almost never followed. According to my extensive research, most extroverts view us as rude, arrogant, snobby, untrustworthy, or just plain boring.
Okay. What's that? You think you're better than me?
And our monkey brains, they fear the unknown. To extroverts, our quiet facade means danger. What are we thinking? What are we plotting? Are we secretly judging everyone and laughing at them in our heads?
How do I look, yellow man?
You look like you're about to tell your friend not to come to school tomorrow, man.
Extroverts must hate libraries. Imagine walking into a giant room full of people quietly reading books and automatically assuming that they all must be plotting against you. Meanwhile, extroverts can spout idiotic or even harmful nonsense all day, and others will describe them as charming and charismatic. But if I keep quiet for 15 minutes and think to myself, suddenly I'm categorized as a serial killer. And modern life expects us to perform constantly, whether it's for social media, for work, or even our own social circles. And it's just something that quiet people aren't quite built for. The easiest way I can explain this to someone who isn't a fellow quiet person is like this. For introverts, socializing isn't just a way to pass the time. Many introverts, including myself, are shy and experience anxiety when it comes to socializing. For us, it's not just small talk, it's opening up our world to you. We don't have conversations just for the sake of passing time. We engage in conversations to share our values and discuss topics that are important to us. Sure, I can talk about the weather or my weekend plans if you really want to, but the truth is I find those conversations boring and shallow. I don't really care what you had for breakfast, and I really doubt that you care that I did my laundry this weekend. If I'm going to spend my energy on talking, I want the topic to be philosophical. I want to analyze media, I want to critique politics, I want to discuss the meaning of life. Once we get the ball rolling on a discussion topic I'm actually interested in, I can talk for hours.
Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Mac? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay? Pepe Sylvia, this name keeps coming up over and over again. Every day, Pepe's mail's getting sent back to me. Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. I look in the mail, well, this whole box is Pepe Sylvia!
I mean, I made a YouTube channel just so I can yap to myself. But the sad truth is that most people aren't equipped to discuss these topics in a healthy way. They either hold no real opinions on the subject or are closed off to differing opinions. And this actually makes conversations dangerous for us introspectives. Not only do we face rejection, but we often fear violent retaliation.
You freaking pricks! When will you learn?
The world has become extreme in its opinions, forcing a lot of deep thinkers to remain silent. Not because we hold no true beliefs, but because we have to uphold the ego of others in order to ensure our safety. So, we remain quiet. I often thought of my quietness as a shield, that if I didn't share my core beliefs or values, it would keep me safe. I live in a very conservative community and I don't share the same beliefs that a lot of my neighbors have. So in order to keep myself safe, I hide my true self in a lot of ways. I nod along or smile when people choose to discuss, difficult topics or the state of the world. Not because I don't have my own opinion, but because speaking up for myself would often be worse than just keeping quiet. But it turns out that staying quiet can be just as dangerous as speaking up.
What, so I gotta sit here and eat dessert alone like I'm fucking Steven Glansberg?
By keeping quiet, those around me assume that I'm judging them. They project their insecurities onto me and assume I'm looking down on them.
What do you think, you're better than me?
And humans are just very uncomfortable with silence. Sorry if you can hear all the construction noise in the background, by the way. We have new neighbors and they're building a house and they start at 5 in the morning and they go until 11 o'clock at night. Welcome to the neighborhood, I guess.
Will you two shut up? People are trying to sleep!
Social psychologists talk about something called conversational feedback. When someone is speaking, they're constantly looking for signals that the other person is engaged. Things like nodding, laughing, and responding verbally. When those signals disappear, some people start to panic a little. Their brain basically goes, oh no, something's wrong, this person hates me. And it doesn't matter if I'm thinking about puppies and cupcakes. The silence is just terrifying to them. People distrust what they cannot read. So they distrust those of us who stay quiet. For others, conversation isn't about meaning or intellectual stimulation. It's about signaling friendliness. Humans are naturally insecure and require constant feedback. And extroverts gain their energy from socialization, so they need their talking points to be acknowledged no matter how shallow the topic.
Documentary.
Personally, I've never understood small talk between classmates or coworkers. It really just feels like people are shouting information at me. Like, I have a customer at work who just updates me on her social life, even though I've never actually asked. And usually I'm really busy when she comes by, so I can barely talk to her anyway, but she still just like shouts across the room at me to give me updates. So the other day she rolled up to my coffee shop and said, I bought a new dress this weekend. And in my own head, my thought was, okay, why is she telling me this? Alright, and really, after some thought, this was her way of saying, I want to tell you about this dress I bought. I'm asking you to ask me about it. I'm signaling you to ask me about it. And while I might not care about a stranger and what they got up to this weekend, I'm still willing to humor them. I'm not silently passing judgment or looking down on them in my own head, but I might be secretly wishing we could talk about something else. And that's really all there is to it. I just don't want to have to do the heavy lifting in a conversation. If you want to tell me about the dress you bought this weekend, just tell me. Don't send me signals and secret messages to decode so that I can ask you the right questions. Just yap at me. I really don't mind. But I do mind having to constantly stretch my brain to find something, anything I could possibly add to the conversation. When people approach me with such shallow topics, I'm usually quiet because I have no earthly idea what you want me to say to you. I once had a coworker ask me, what's your favorite brand of chapstick? As if that was the ultimate conversation topic. What else was I supposed to say besides, I don't know, EOS? Burt's Bees? I don't think about chapstick. 99% of the time, if I'm unresponsive in a group conversation, it's because I'm thinking, what can I contribute to the conversation that won't make these people think I'm a crazy freak? Now there's a helicopter, great. I live literally in the middle of nowhere, and yet the noise is just constant. Oh god, like church down the street is chopping down all their trees because that's what you do. Neighbors building something, airplanes, helicopters overhead. I don't know, dude, this sucks. Sorry. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Can we calm down? 99% of the time, if I'm unresponsive in a group conversation, it's because I'm thinking, what can I contribute to this conversation that won't make these people think I'm a freak? Or what can I say besides, that's crazy? You know, the ultimate conversation killer. Mostly, I found the easiest way to socialize with these types of extroverts is to ask follow-up questions if I can, and even if I don't care, and to make random observations throughout the day. And honestly, it's kind of impressive how much it's improved my social standing at work. As fake and insincere as it sounds to me, the phrase, wow, really? Tell me more. It's been a lifesaver at my place of work. And then just making like stim noises while I do my task. You know, like, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. I don't know. Actually, the other day, I mistakenly thought someone was talking to me, but I didn't know what they said, so I just said, mango smoothie? And everybody laughed, so I guess spouting random nonsense is better than saying nothing at all. So after all of this research, a little bit of experimentation, and mango smoothie, I've come to a pretty simple conclusion. Quiet people are a plague on this society, and something needs to be done about them. Silence should be treated as a crime as serious as embezzlement or tax fraud. After all, what are they thinking? They have to be up to something. What information do they have access to that they're not sharing with the rest of us? And how could they not be positively enthralled by the story I shared about my weekend? I went tanning and I read one of those spicy fantasy novels about a goblin threesome. All they had to say was, that's cool. That's cool. I'm sorry, but I just shared a deeply personal story about goblin literature, and you're not going to even ask a follow-up question? You're not curious which goblin was my favorite. It was the dark and brooding one, by the way. Obviously. But how will I get to tell them if they never ask? So, if you're suspicious of quiet people and whatever secrets they're hiding, please sign my petition today. Together, we can finally uncover what those mysterious silent types are really thinking. And maybe one day, they can learn to be normal. You know, like the rest of us who feel a deep and uncontrollable need to tell strangers about the pornography we've been reading lately. Because if I don't immediately know what smut novels you're reading, how am I supposed to feel emotionally safe and secure in this society? Okay, bye. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. I know it got kind of goofy at the end, but yeah, I am just trying to learn more about myself in this weird world that we live in. And yeah, I'm just kind of going through all the things that annoy me and bother me and seeing what I can do to make my life a little more tolerable, to make living in this crazy world a little bit better. So if you found any of this information about quiet people helpful, if you'd like me to go into more detail, just let me know. But yeah, I really appreciate you being here. If you stayed till the end, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I would really appreciate it. Ooh. And if you are a fellow quiet person and you are a little too nervous to comment, don't worry, I see you, I feel you. Feel free to leave just like an emoji or whatever you want in the comments. Doesn't have to be anything. I would love to hear from you anyway. All right, good to see you. See you next time. Bye-bye.